What Marcus Aurelius would tell you today. Final complete script, 12,000 characters. If Marcus Aurelius stood before you today, what would he say? Not as a legend from history, not as a distant emperor on a coin, but as a man who endured pain, led with discipline and sought wisdom in the silence of his own mind. He would not offer hollow inspiration. He would not rush to give you advice. He would first observe. He would watch how often you check your phone, how distracted your mind has become, how rarely you sit in stillness, how quickly you run from your own thoughts. Then, gently, he would begin. You are overwhelmed. You are anxious. You are afraid. Not because the world is falling apart, but because your mind has no anchor. You chase success and applause, and wonder why you feel empty. You accumulate things, but they do not fill your soul. You seek peace everywhere, except within. Marcus would not judge you, but he would challenge you. He would ask, what is truly in your control? You might say, my schedule, my work, my goals. And he would shake his head slowly. No, those are circumstances. You control your thoughts, your choices, your attitude, your effort. That is all. And it is enough. He would remind you that the things outside of you are not yours, not truly, not your reputation, not your possessions, not even the people you love. You may hold them for a time, but never forever. You suffer, he'd say, because you expect life to obey you. But life does not serve you. It invites you to grow. He would speak of pain. I have buried children. I have led men into war. I have been betrayed by those I trusted. Yet through it all, I returned to the discipline of the mind. The world outside me was chaos. But the world within, I made that my fortress. Marcus would ask you, when was the last time you examined your desires? Do you even know why you want what you want? Or have you borrowed your goals from others without asking if they are worthy? He would urge you to write, not to perform, not to publish, but to clarify. Because writing is a mirror, and most people fear their reflection. He would tell you, each day is a lifetime in miniature. You are born when you wake. You die when you sleep. How are you spending this life? He'd pause and let the silence stretch, not to create drama, but depth. Most people wait for tragedy to wake up, for illness to remind them of health, for death to remind them of life, but you don't need to wait. You can wake up now. If you said, but life is unfair, he'd say, correct. So what will you do with that truth? If you said, but I don't feel strong, he'd say, strength is not a feeling. It's a decision. To stand when it's easier to fall. To try again when giving up would be forgiven. To act with virtue, even when no one applauds. He would speak of fear. You fear discomfort. You fear failure, you fear being misunderstood. But have you ever considered the cost of staying comfortable, of never trying, of betraying yourself to be accepted by others? He would ask, is the version of you that the world loves actually you? Marcus would remind you that your legacy is not how many followers you have, but how many souls you uplift in silence. He would say, fame is nothing. Power fades. Wealth is illusion. What remains is character. What echoes is how you lived. And if you asked him, but how do I begin again? He'd answer simply, you already have. This breath, this moment, this is the beginning. He would urge you to live each day as if you had been gifted it, because you have. He would tell you not to waste time, for it is the only thing you truly own. Treat time like gold, not gravel, he'd say. Spend it on things that last. He would warn you not to be seduced by comfort. Comfort breeds weakness. Discomfort, when chosen wisely, is training. Train your body, train your mind, train your heart. Not to be invincible, but to be unshakable. And what about love? He would say, love with honesty, not attachment. Love others, but do not lose yourself in them. Expect them to leave, and be grateful when they stay. Hold people with open hands, not clenched fists. He would not promise you a life without pain. He would promise you that pain, with purpose, becomes power. If you told him you were lost, he would say, then be still. The world will not guide you, your nature will. If you said, but I'm afraid I'll fail, he'd say, you will, again and again. But failure does not define you, only your response does. If you asked him, what is the purpose of life? He'd say, to live with reason, to die without regret, to help others find their way. As you stood to leave, he'd offer no final quote, only a question. What will you do with this day? Not tomorrow, not someday. This one, because the Stoics believed we are dying every moment. So the only real time is now, and if you forget everything else, he'd want you to remember this. You have been given a soul, a mind, a body, and today, use them well, and you will not be forgotten. And so, before Marcus Aurelius turns to leave, he might offer one more reflection, not just for the moment, but for your entire life. He would say, most people seek to avoid suffering, but suffering is a teacher, one of the few that speaks honestly. Listen to it, don't resist it, learn from it. He would remind you that you are not broken because you feel pain. You are alive because you feel it. He would ask you, are you waiting for the perfect time to be grateful? For the perfect day to be kind? For the perfect conditions to be yourself? And then he'd tell you gently, you will wait your whole life if you wait for perfection. Instead, he'd challenge you to begin with what you have, where you are, exactly as you are. He would urge you to be deliberate with your energy. Don't argue with fools. Don't chase people who run from themselves. Don't waste your light explaining it to those committed to misunderstanding you. He'd say, let your life be your explanation. Let your actions be your answer. And when you feel alone, Marcus would remind you, you are never truly alone if you are at peace with yourself. He would urge you to walk in nature, to watch the sunrise, to feel the weight of the present moment. To be still, he'd say, is not to do nothing. It is to return to everything. As his final words, he would offer no promise of safety, no guarantee of comfort, but he would offer you something better, a reminder that your life is not an accident, that your soul is not random, that your time is limited, but your impact is not, that greatness is not found in being noticed, but in being useful, not in applause, but in alignment with virtue. That peace does not come when the world calms down. It comes when you rise above it, that you are more capable, more resilient, more grounded than you realize, and that now, right now, is the time to live like it, fully, freely, fiercely. That is what Marcus Aurelius would tell you today. And if you are wise, you will not just hear it, you will live it. Before he leaves, Marcus might turn once more, sensing that your heart still seeks answers the world hasn't given, and he would speak of fate. Do not curse the path you're on, he'd say. It was given to you for a reason. Amor fati, Love your fate. Not because it is easy, but because it is yours. He would explain that what happens to you is less important than what you do with it. Hardship may bend you. Let it. But do not let it break your character. He would remind you that every wound you carry is an invitation to grow, to deepen, to soften, to become. Stop asking, why me? And begin asking, what now? That is where power lives. Marcus would ask you to stop resisting reality. Do not fight the present moment. It has already arrived. Let it teach you. Let it move through you. Let it sharpen you. And when you speak of loneliness, he would understand. You feel alone because you seek connection only in others. But connection begins with your own soul. He'd say, the world is full of noise, full of people who speak but do not listen, who move but go nowhere. Don't join them. Be the stillness. Be the clarity. Be the rare presence that reminds others to come home to themselves. He would invite you to practice presence in your simplest moments. When you drink water, taste it. When you walk, feel the earth beneath you. When you speak, mean it. And when you love, do so completely. Marcus would caution you not to wait until life forces you to wake up. Some awaken in a hospital bed, others at a graveside. But the wisest wake up now, while there's still time to act, to change, to love. He would say, you cannot escape death, but you can escape the fear of it. And that is true freedom. And then, finally, he would look you in the eye, not with judgment, but with a fierce compassion, and he would say, wake up, stand up, speak up, show up. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present. You are here to be just, brave, and kind. That is enough. That has always been enough. And with that, he would walk away. Not because he is gone, but because the message is now yours to carry, yours to live, and one day yours to pass on.